But we're really, really excited to have you guys here with us today. So thank you for your time and for being here with us on this afternoon. Let's go ahead and get started. So here at NHA, we are fully invested in the success of you and your candidates. We take pride in doing what's right and are not afraid to use our voice if it moves the industry forward. We're here to help ensure that all of your learners, no matter their background or needs, feel confident and empowered to complete their required learning or earn their accredited certification. So again, a little bit about today, what to expect. It is being recorded. NHA is going to send out this recording to anyone who registered for today, along with any additional resources that we may need. For those who can stick around to the end, there is going to be a brief survey link posted for you to complete, and anyone who does will be put into a raffle to win a $50 gift card. So please stick around with us and fill that out. You will also see an optional information form for you to complete. So that's a second link, a slightly longer survey. And if you fill that out prior to April 15th, you'll be put into another raffle for a $500 gift card. So you definitely want to stick around till the end of today's webinar. So we do host these regularly. Take a look on our homepage to choose to subscribe for notifications on future sessions. You can also access our webinars and scheduling from the resources page in either the Resource Center or through the upcoming events link. So for today's session, we're going to review NHA in general and the resources that we provide. We'll walk through your access to the NHA website, how you can be fully enabled to run your program from there, and even do a live walkthrough before getting into Q&A. Again, remember to stick around with us through to the end so you can be entered into that raffle. So we're going to do a brief introduction to NHA, but before we talk about us, I wanted to take a moment just to get to know those of you who are with us this afternoon. So I'm going to launch a poll here. So I'm curious, just of those of you who are here, if you could please put kind of what most closely resembles your role at your institution. So I know we don't have a lot of folks with us today, but if you could go ahead and pick if any of these options actually are similar to your role here with your program. We'll leave that open. Okay, classroom educators. We've got proctors. Let's just take a look and see who's with us today. Give you guys just a second. All right, we're going to go ahead and close this poll up. Just wanted to kind of capture. So we've got some educators. We have some employers, a couple of others. So that's nice to see. Thank you guys so much. We just wanted to know who's with us, right? And what your roles are. So now that we've seen a little bit about you, please know that NHA is in fact the largest frontline healthcare worker certification organization in the industry. We have over 1 million certified candidates and are leading the industry and use those resources and information from our experiences and learning partners to create learning materials that widen skills and abilities within the health field. These have shown to help candidates have a higher potential to earn their nationally accredited certification with NHA. So those resources come in many formats, starting with our nationally accredited certifications in 2 sections. 5 of our 8 certifications fall within the practitioner side of frontline healthcare, including medical assistant, phlebotomist, pharmacy technician, EKG, and patient care technician. There are also 3 certifications in an administrative capacity, which include billing and coding, medical administrative assistant, and e-health records. In addition, NHA develops comprehensive learning tools around key objectives for the healthcare professions that we serve. These resources range from didactic learning in medical terminology or A&P, anatomy and physiology, to the development of essential soft skills and clinical skills for the medical assistants and pharmacy technicians. These can be used across the entire learner's journey and can be packaged together to provide a comprehensive experience from start to finish. So now that you've seen a little bit about NHA, let's talk about the possible resources in a bit more depth. So in order to be here today, you should have already received a confirmation email from nhanow.com with a prompt to set up your administrative login. If you haven't seen this, check in your spam box or junk mail. This email will walk you through the first steps to set up your administrative login, which you can access at nhanow.com. Once logged in, you then have access to almost everything you could need to manage your learners and account right from your home screen. This is your dashboard, and it's broken into two main categories. The center of the screen will provide you quick access to NHA's supplemental resources. Your first Get Started area provides you access to all of NHA's test plans, implementation resources, and even the candidate handbook, where you can view eligibility requirements, as well as expectations for testing. Scrolling down your page will show you some of the most used how-to resources that walk you through the administrative steps that you would need to manage your NHA account, and even take you to a library of all of our helpful walkthroughs, PDFs, and videos. This library starts with tools for you as an administrator, how to create courses, enroll candidates, open exam dates. Scrolling down this page will also take you to the candidate-facing tools tagged on their accounts, so you can help prompt them to use their materials and accounts to their fullest potential. Now, the test plans for all of NHA's 8 nationally accredited exams are available to download from this first link. This is an important area for you to know, what NHA's exams are going to cover, what to provide information to your candidates on. We know that this is important for you both. I wanted to call out some information around a study that NHA completed recently from over 6,000 candidates across the country, just to understand a little bit more of some of the common themes, discover what maybe some of the biggest hurdles were for them to take their NHA exam. So out of the options listed, I'm going to make you guys take another poll. Out of the options listed, which do you think, if you hopefully see that on your screen now, was the most common issue that they reported? What do you think? Go ahead and take just a minute and answer those questions. Pick your favorite. Okay, let's go ahead and take a stop there. So the real answer here was test anxiety, believe it or not. Yes, test anxiety, which we know can be addressed with preparation. This was one of the many reasons why it's a best practice to get your candidates into their NHA accounts as soon as you can. We will start sending them notifications, reminders, resources on study habits and tools. So the sooner you can get them logged into their accounts, the better, because we're really trying to address that test anxiety, their confidence in their readiness. Here are just some of the hundreds of comments from that survey that focused on uncertainty, not just around general anxiety, but not knowing if they're prepared. Have they learned all the things they need? And worry about making it through a timed exam. Providing the exam test plans, as well as NHA's exam study materials or learning resources, have shown to make a positive impact on this. Through the next link from your home screen, the implementation guides and resources, you will find supplemental tools around our learning content to assist your candidates. All of the study material additional resources are found here. Select the certification type that you want, and you'll be taken to view any of those additional documents, starting with the implementation guide. These guides are available to you online, and they outline the content, implementation suggestions, and even average time it could take for a candidate to navigate through the study materials. You can see here a snapshot across just 4 of our 8 certifications, the time it can take an average candidate to work through just the study tutorial portion, which can range widely. These guides are available for any of NHA's learning tools. So the exam study materials are based on that test plan for the certification and includes an interactive study guide, as well as a series of practice tests designed to look and feel just like the exam. This package also provides the NHA Focused Review, which is a personalized study feature to help candidates as they navigate through their practice tests. These should be assigned digitally to each candidate so they can move through the materials on their own, as well as provide adequate reporting for both your group or individual learner growth. So that focused review is a secondary tool, which is separate from the study guide and is specific to each practice test attempt to help candidates focus further on those areas that they might still be struggling in. Those learning tools are available for preparing for any of NHA's exams. So now let's review some of the other learning materials also available from NHA. Starting with core learning. NHA has content focused again on anatomy and physiology, medical terminology. These address just the right amount of content for learners in entry-level roles through interactive and engaging online materials. NHA has a full pharmacy technician suite of content that starts with inherent learning on becoming a pharmacy technician through the Pharmaceer. This is designed to meet the ASHP didactic standards for learning in this critical role. We also have primary learning tools on medical math, dosage, and calculations through the Pharmaceer Math. There are skills developers for your medical assistants as well, which include the MA Skills Builder Clinical. This provides an interactive learning experience with 12 engaging modules to help develop and execute 39 clinical competencies that employers are needing in an entry-level medical assistant. Coming soon is also a medical administrative skills developer. Though we know the clinical skills are essential, administrative duties are a large part of an MA's role. This tool is also applicable for your office administrative staff. MA Skills Builder Admin uses experiential training tools to focus on key skills and competencies, so learners master the technical and job-ready knowledge to handle front and back office responsibilities. Additional skills developers outside of that kind of core content or career laddering options include providing upskilling in professionalism, starting with personability. This is available in both the clinic or pharmacy setting and uses online simulations and role play to help develop abilities in teamwork, emotional intelligence, and communication. You can ladder further by leveraging principles of health coaching, another immersive learning tool with realistic scenarios to continue the learning in communication, but also population health management and with motivational interviewing. If you work within a patient-centered care environment, any member of your care team could deepen their understanding of what that means to work within this quality versus quantity environment by using the team-based care tool. For all of our core learning resources I just mentioned, we also provide implementation toolkits. These include downloadable and editable PowerPoint presentations aligned to that core learning, optional lesson plans outlining the content and suggestions for implementation, optional testing banks and resources for implementation, additional activities to help scrub and polish that learning, walkthrough videos unique to that product content, and mapping resources to accreditations, textbooks, and test plans. In fact, we have mapping resources for our exam preparation tools as well, found right next to the implementation guide called the Alignment Guide. These are specific to the certification type and include an outline of the full test plan, identifying how many scored questions there will be on the exam from each domain. This will also map out where in the NHA study guide that content is covered, and if there are any additional resources built into that to help, like games and videos. This is a wonderful tool to use to align your candidates' learning, as well as review a program content and ensure that there aren't any large gaps in the learning process. There is an open few columns as well, so you can plug in where in your book, your week, your program, your expectations, you're covering that core content. NHA has full program maps that you could use to implement any or all of these products and help with a learner journey from start to finish. This is just one example of what it could look like for a medical assistant timeline. All right, so that was a lot of information. I wanted to just take one more quick poll here. So for those of you who are here from the content that we just covered, what would you be most interested in attending another webinar about or getting more information on? We want to make sure that we're providing you what you need. So if you do select other, please post that in the Q&A so we can capture that as well. We're trying to make sure that you guys get exactly what you need and when we need it, right? Let's just take just a minute. Perfect. All right. Thank you guys so much for answering that. Appreciate that. All right. So now that you've seen our resources and what NHA really is and does, let's talk about your access to the website and even get into that live demonstration. We've reviewed the resource part of the dashboard, right? That's that center section. The other portion is on the left-hand side in your navigation bar. This is where you find your administrative shortcuts, from viewing your inventory, creating courses, to pulling reports for your program and study materials, monitoring candidate applications and exam results, depending on your role, adding or removing additional administrative users, and even viewing your exam calendar, creating test dates, or proctoring the exam. In fact, right from here is where you can get your learners started with creating their personal logins to the NHA site. You can invite them to set up that login well before providing any learning resources through the account invitation feature right from your home screen. This helps to ensure that everything is ready to go when it's time to start their studying. As I mentioned earlier, it is a best practice to get them set up as early as possible in their NHA accounts. We have seen statistically that those who do are more likely to not only take their NHA certification, but earn that certification at the end. Okay, so we're going to go into the live walkthrough of all of these resources. Let me go ahead and pull that over here. Okay, so this is a real actioned experience website. We can see, we can scroll down and get all of those great resources that we were just talking to. But I'd like to start with some of the tools over in your navigation bar, beginning here with the Help Center. The Help Center is where you can go to access any additional information, password reset, FAQs, contact our client care team who can help you with any issues or questions. Also, any forms, additional forms, such as if there's an issue during an exam or an accommodation request, and technical requirements for your program. So really helpful area. Don't skip out on the Help Center, right up on the left-hand side. So the next section we're going to get into here is under the prep materials. So as you scroll down, we see we have both courses and inventory. So for inventory, this is where you would go to double check at the beginning of your program if you have what you need to start a course. So courses are what we use to label that kind of content and access. So I can see here that of the courses I have access to, I have 10 available. So that means I have enough for 10, if you want to think about it, licenses. 10 candidates can access this material. As I provide them that content, this number will decrease as we go through. And this is really important because if I was going to create a course, for example, for anatomy and physiology, and I don't have the inventory, if I add a candidate to that course, they're not going to get anything. So I want to check that first. Now, if I don't have enough material here, that's when I would connect with my NHA representative to make sure that we had that content before moving forward. So the next step would be basically inviting your candidates to set up those accounts. Now, this does not have to happen before that inventory. This is simply that account creation. We do recommend that you get this started as soon as possible. You just put in a couple of emails here and check their addresses. And depending on what you see, we will either create an account or not. So you can see there's a new account to be created, but this candidate already has their login set up. So we know that this one does need to get kind of access to the material, and this send invitations will generate the access to the NHA website in general. It is not going to pull inventory. This is just account creation. So now once my inventory gets loaded, I can then double check, we're good to go. And now I'm going to go in and get my course set up. So I'm going to go into my courses on the left-hand side. I already have 2 courses created with candidates enrolled, but how did they get here in the first place? Well, remember, there is a how-to document and video from your how-to library that you can go check out, but I'm going to actually just click on this new course feature in the upper right-hand corner. This is going to take me to set up whatever course I need. I need to give it a course title that is required. See, there's an asterisk there. It can be any course title that I need, but it should be something that makes sense, right? Also something that is catalogable. So if I was going to We can say spring 2022. I can only use this exact naming convention a single time. So I want to make sure that it's something I can catalog and potentially reuse with a slightly different kind of date range later. There's a start date and an end date. These are not required, but can give really great visibility to your students for when they're expected to be done. Nothing negative happens after that end date. It's not going to take anything away from anybody. It just gives that expectation of completion. Once I'm ready, I then can turn on whatever materials that I want and set additional boundaries on availability dates or even wait times between practice test attempts. Now, depending on the resource that you're using, this might change a little bit. So you want to make sure that you look at the implementation guide. Remember, that was right from your home screen for best practices on how to get this set up, no matter what material you end up using. There's the MA skills down there. So once your course has been created, it will show up in your course area here. So again, right from my dashboard, I went into courses, and that's where I am here. How do I get them onto that course roster? Well, there's two different ways to go about it. You can click here on roster. If you know that they already have their candidate accounts, they can request enrollment. It's a button right from their home screen, request course enrollment. You can send them a how-to document or video on how to do that, and they'll show up here in a pending status. You can then approve them or reject them if they're not supposed to be there. And once you do, they'll transition into your currently enrolled and pull one layer of inventory and apply it to that candidate. Alternatively, you can also invite the candidates. And this is going to look just like inviting them to create their accounts, only this is going to invite them to the course material. Their action on this is what will, sorry, I'm trying to talk and type at the same time, is what will get them into that material. I can check my addresses. And again, I can see a couple of different items here in my legend, specifically if they have an existing account or a new account needs to be created. I can send an invite to both types of candidates. Either way, they will receive an email from nhanow.com. Have them monitor their junk box because sometimes it will get spammed. And if you do that, then they have to click on the unique link that they receive within that email in order to access that content and get added to that course roster and begin their study, no matter what it might be. So it's pretty simple. Everything under the courses happens under the courses area. And this is where you can kind of get access to that material. The course details is where you monitor student usage in their content. You can view their reporting right from here. Today is not going to be necessarily about that. We do have some other best practices. I believe there's actually one running tomorrow afternoon, so or morning, if you guys are free, on some of the best tips to use this material. Check out that registration page for more information on that. But when you're done with your course, when your candidates have finished their study, you can archive it. Archiving a course does not revoke anything from the candidates. It simply moves it out of activity so that no new student or candidate can be added to your roster. You still have access to that material here. In fact, the reporting will still load and you'll still be able to see who was on the course. You just can't add anybody new. So all the action happens under courses on the left-hand side. So as they go through their study, we have to get them, if we're going to be doing any exam readiness, we want to get them set up for their tests. So the first step there is to double check that there is or isn't an exam date already scheduled if you're testing on site. So as a partner with NHA, you do have the option, if you have adequate testing space available for almost all of our exams, to proctor those exams on site. Now, who should proctor? That's a whole nother question. But what we're going to do here is click on upcoming exams just to see what is on my calendar. Now, this will default to a 30-day window. It's because it should be within 30 days of the exam date that you have that test set up. But we do stretch that out. You can create those exam dates as early as you like. We recommend as early as possible. So here I can see I do have an exam date coming up in May. The application deadline, or the last date that a candidate can potentially apply for this test. I can see how many applications there are on this exam. So I know that my test date is going to be a different one. It's not going to be for May 27th, but I can see that one has already been created. So how do I get my test on this calendar? Well, we're over here under the exams area. Right now we're in upcoming exams. I'm going to request a new exam right from here. I select my exam date. I'm doing it on the last Friday of the month. And then I have to select my exam deadline. This should always be the week before the test. It has to be at least 1 week before. So this is going to be the last date that a candidate can apply for the test, making it close essentially 1 week prior to the exam. The exam time is an open field. You can put whatever you like there, but it is visible to the candidates during the application process. So if you have anything specific you want them to know, where to go, what time to be there, if there's a particular class or location, that's where you would put that information while you're creating the exam date. If you have a purchase order number you need tied to that invoice, if you're being invoiced directly for those tests, now is when you put that on. We can't add a purchase order after the roster has been finalized, so put it on here. And then the number of available computers is next. This is just the maximum headcount that you can have in your testing space. So if you can only accommodate 10 safely at a time, don't put 15. If you can only accommodate 5, then you'll maybe need to make 2 exam dates so that we can have 2 exam times and get all 10 of your learners. I'm just assuming you have 10 learners. I hope that's okay. The next thing we're going to do is create my exam and request exam date. Congratulations, that was successful. And now if I go back to my upcoming exam space, you're going to see that when I stretch out my calendar right there. Now, something else that we're seeing here is the status. This is the registration status. So while it's open, candidates can apply to it. Once it closes the week before the test, this will say closed. And in the interim is when candidates can apply for their test. So I see that someone has applied, but my roster is not going to be available until May. How do I know who that is? Well, that's the next step. Viewing exam applications. So we were just down here under request new exam, and now we're viewing upcoming exams, but I want to see who's there, so I'm going to view my exam applications. Now this is going to take you to 2 main boxes: third-party or off-site tests, or first-party on-site tests. Third-party applications are for any exams you cannot proctor on-site. That includes pharmacy technician. As of right now, you cannot proctor a pharmacy technician on-site. They have to be tested through a third-party agency. But our program has phlebotomy testing off-site. So I can see Mabel has applied. I can see it's in pending status, which means I need to go and approve it. Once she has booked or scheduled that, I will see the booking date as well as its status. I'll be able to see if she missed the exam, rescheduled the exam, or took the exam right from this page. For my on-site tests, this is my MA exam coming up. I can see who applied. I can see the exam date, and I can also see that it's also in pending status. Now I can filter all of these if I want to. I can even download these applications as an Excel spreadsheet or PDF. It's up to me what I do there, but you do have the ability to monitor this. So when you get to that registration deadline, it shouldn't be a surprise who's on that roster because you can view it right from here. And once those rosters are available, I can go over here to view exam rosters. And depending on your tests, you can see here, there's one pending approval. And there's my candidate. Now she's not quite ready to test here, so I'm actually going to go ahead and reject her application. Now that doesn't mean she's rejected for all time. It just means, you know what, Mabel, you applied a little bit too soon. It's not time to schedule. So we're going to go ahead and reject her from that site. Okay, pretty simple. Okay, so from here, that was our live walkthrough of kind of the key functionalities of the website. I did mention reporting, and this is a really big piece. We understand that it's one of the biggest items that we're not going to cover in today's session. We will be holding additional webinars, some focused just on reporting. So for now, know that the moment your first candidate accesses their study materials, no matter what kind of learning content you're using, reports will begin to load. These include filterable tools, downloadable PDFs, and deep analytics to provide you clarity on the learner's processes. NHA's Learning Insight Center has reports that highlight, among other things, progress through the modules, performance in assessments, and time spent in study. Today's webinar is not about that, but we will hold others, so keep an eye out on those upcoming events page to register for future sessions. So before we get to the Q&A, I wanted to reiterate that this has been recording. Anyone who registered for today will receive the recording from today's webinar. We're going to address some open questions. Hopefully we can get to everybody's today. I don't think that'll be too hard. We're going to work directly on making sure you have everything that you need. But we're going to go ahead in just a second and post those survey links in the chat box. So remember, one survey is just on this webinar. Completing that now will put you in a raffle for a $50 gift card. The second survey is a little bit more in depth. It's more like an instructor overview. Completing that prior to April 15th will put you in a raffle for a $500 gift card. So definitely put in just a couple minutes of your time, get on that. So as a reminder, we want you to be able to address your questions when they happen. So I know that we've already reviewed the how-to resources a little bit, but these self-guided tools are your first line of defense for you and your students on what to do and the mechanics of how our resources and website work. Tons of great stuff in there. So use it throughout your program, best practices to share with your students and so forth. If the answer you're looking for isn't found there, then please use our client care team. They are the live chat, the help center phone line, and are available extended hours, but not 24 hours. But that means that you and your students shouldn't have to wait until your NHA contact is free to answer questions that are urgent. This group of people are incredible, all located here in the United States, and they will respond as quickly as they can with a typical wait time around 30 seconds to connect. In addition, you have your own client executive. If you don't know who your personal contact is, post now in the Q&A so that we can look that up and get you their contact information. They are here to help with all of your other tools, resources, and ensure you have everything you need to be successful to empower your learners to earn their certifications and yourself. If you or your institution would like any additional training, either as a group or individually, that client executive will connect you with my team to get something scheduled with you. Okay, so we're going to get into questions, but I did want to take just a quick moment to thank you all for being here with us today, for taking the time. You're working so hard in the field. We know that. We see that. With so much going on right now, we know that you truly are real heroes. So thank you again for your time, putting in all those crazy hours, which we know you're doing.